Mr. Ambassador, first I'd like to congratulate you and the Syrian people on the 71st anniversary of independence from the French rule.
Thank you very much for your sincere congratulations, and I welcome you at the Syrian Embassy again, once more. And on this occasion also I would like to express my sincere wishes to you, to your people, to the people of Ukraine, and all progress and prosperity to this lovely country.
Okay, let's begin our conversation.
Please.
Our interview. The first question. Did Syrian armed forces use chemical weapon in Idlib province on the 1st of April?
Thank you very much. This is an important question due to the fact that the Western propaganda and the Western media have already launched a great campaign in order to show the world against the facts and against the reality. Let me explain to you what happened about what so-called use of chemical weapons. First of all, Syria is a member of the Chemical Weapon Convention. So, Syria has got rid of all its chemical weapons under the supervision of the United Nations and by the help of certain countries, among which the United States itself. So as a matter of principle, Syria does not possess anymore any chemical weapons. So this Western propaganda that the Syrian army used chemical weapons in Khan Sheikhoun, it's important to clarify that on 4th of April, at 6 o'clock in the morning, or around 6 in the morning, certain TV channels, satellite channels, and certain Western medias, certain Arabic and Western medias, they tried to transmit to the whole world that the Syrian army has bombarded or used chemical weapons on the city of Khan Sheikhoun, which is in the suburb of Hama Governorate. At the time, the first airstrike by the Syrian army on that town was around 11:30 in the morning. So this proves that the propaganda of that media, which are driven and directed by certain powers and certain countries, they focused, or actually they planned, to launch this campaign to accuse Syria. And as I said, there was no Syrian strike, airstrike on that area till 11:30. So they started this 5 hours, almost 5 hours before. So this propaganda actually proves what I am saying. So the first airstrike was around noon or midday, and there was no evidence at all that there were chemical weapons used in that airstrike. How? How can, let me ask this question now. How can any country all over the world proves that chemical weapons were used or any other kinds of weapons without investigation? So, those countries who accused Syria of using the chemical weapons worked as a judge for this case without any proof or evidence.
Mhm.
This shows the background and the intention of those powers, or let me say of those countries. Syria, before that date, before 4th of April, had got information that the terrorists and the terrorist groups got or had got chemical substances, let me say, if I'm not going to call it chemical weapons, from Turkey. And we informed officially the Chemical Weapon Convention in La Haye about this. But now no reaction or response came out from the Chemical Weapon Convention. This is a very big question mark. Why? A country informs an international body, organization, tells them that there are chemical substances are in the hands or in the possession of the terrorist groups, and no response, no reaction.
Mr. Ambassador, what would you say? Is there an aim of international capital to destroy Syrian people like genocide?
Well, let me say something as a background, maybe useful for your question. What's happening in Syria is a war against terrorism. I understand that some countries wanted to describe it as a civil war or for political aims by those countries, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, what's happening in our country, Syria, since 7 years or more. We have already started the 7th year now. So there were terrorist organizations under the name or the umbrella, let me say, of what so-called Arab Spring, claiming that they want freedoms and reformations and so on. And they invented this chaos in the country, started with demonstrations. Actually, the majority of those didn't know, who went in the demonstrations, didn't know that they were running towards certain aim.
And we spoke about the chemical weapons and continue our topic. Recently, a former general of the Syrian army, Zahar al-Sakat, who served as the head of chemical warfare in the 5th Army Division before defecting in 2013, claimed that Syria had stocks of chemical weapons. Is it true? Can you comment on this allegation?
Regardless of the name of this person or any other person, but as I have already mentioned to you, that Syria joined the Chemical Weapon Convention, and now Syria is free of all the chemical weapons. And those allegations, once you hear about them, they aim to, or those who accuse Syria, they aim to create problems and escalations in the country. But I can assure you that Syria, also we sent this officially to the United Nations, the Security Council and the General Assembly, and we informed them officially that we have got rid of all our chemical weapons. And as I've also mentioned before, that it was under the supervision of the Chemical Weapon Convention, this organization, and the Americans destroyed those weapons on their ships in the sea.
Mr. Ambassador, you know the official information that the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons claims that all stocks of chemical weapons were taken out of Syria. Do you think the missile attack to Syria was American provocation?
The missile?
Yes.
Well, you know, there is no link between this American aggression against Al-Shairat airport and the
maybe a lot of countries were involved in this missile attack, not only America.
You know, even regardless of the names of the countries, but the main aim of that American aggression or American missile strike was to help the terrorists. I would like to refer that in each time the Syrian army gets progress on the ground and defeats the terrorists, so the other countries, either the Americans or the Israelis or Turkey or others, they try to help the terrorist organizations, as they are their proxies, by the way. They are supported by those countries, so they try to help them. So they either launch an air raid here, or as this American aggression on Al-Shairat airport under the pretext of the Syrian planes took that weapons, the elite weapons, chemical weapons, from this airport.
Mr. Ambassador, from your point of view, how many countries were involved in these aggressions against Syria?
You know, in this aggression, nobody admits that he participated, but we consider that all those who support the terrorists in Syria are involved in this, regardless of the names, because you cannot say that this, as they did not announce by themselves, see. But whether they announce or not, so we consider them that they are supporters for the terrorists and the terrorism in Syria. Those countries who do not fight terrorism, so they are supporting it.
Is it possible that the Turkish government were engaged in this missile attack on Syria?
As I told you before, that regardless of the names, I can say, and I've already told you also, that the terrorists in Khan Sheikhoun brought those chemical substances from Turkey, and we had already informed the Chemical Weapon Convention organization about this, but no actions was taken by this international organization or any other countries who consider themselves the protectors of the peace in this world.
I would like to ask you, what role did Israel play in this political game?
Well, the role of Israel is scandalous. It's very blatant.
Because, yes, because, I'm sorry that I interrupt you, because Syria has a problem with Israel, has a conflict to the Golan Heights.
It's not a matter of conflict. They are occupying a piece of our territories, the Golan, yes. So if they consider themselves involved in the conflict, it's not this way actually. They are supporting terrorism. Look, it is seen on the internet, just open YouTube, in the websites, you see that Israel is treating and medicating the terrorists in its hospitals. They come and evacuate them from the occupied territories, near the occupied territories in the Golan, and they take them to treat them in the Israeli hospitals. If those are considered terrorists, how can you justify evacuating them to the Israeli hospitals?
Mhm.
So it is clear that Israel is helping the terrorists. And each time Israel attacks our territories, they intend, by that, they intend to help and enlighten the pressure over the terrorists
I
in
see.
certain areas.
Mr. Ambassador, let's discuss the recent explosion near the Damascus airport. And according to the rumors, Israel participated in this attack. What your opinion? Who is responsible for it?
It was by Israel.
Israel.
It was by Israel, yes. As I've already told you in the previous answer, that once the terrorists are squeezed, so others try to help them to find a solution, or at least to give them a door to escape.
I'd like to ask you, know that during the war a lot of Orthodox churches were destroyed, and I think that it's very heavy, it's very hard for Orthodox people be in Syria now, yes, because
no, I don't agree with you.
In your country,
it's not only the Orthodox churches were targeted, or the Catholic churches, the mosques, the hospitals, the universities, the schools, the power stations, gas stations, electricity stations, all the Syrian infrastructure. The Syrian people was targeted. So it wasn't, as I said, they did not target certain religious group or ethnic group. So the main target is Syria and the Syrian people. So don't think that it is only against the Orthodox at all. Christians are a main factor, or form a main factor of the Syrian people. So they are equally footed with the other ethnic and religious groups existed in Syria.
Mr. Ambassador, as a diplomat, you are aware of the situation in Venezuela. Moreover, the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, has recently visited this country. Do these mass protests have anything in common with the Orange Revolution? Who rules all these processes, and who stands in the shadows?
Well,
from your point of view.
Well, my own point of view. Well, let me say something. I do not prefer to color what so-called revolutions, orange or blue, or as they said lately, what happened in our region, the Arab Spring, or well, those are only names given to attract the attention of the masses. Everybody knows that the leadership, the current leadership in Venezuela, and even before, during the time of the late President Chavez and the current President Maduro, they are working for their people. Their main interest is the Venezuelan people. So, historically, the Latin America, or the states of Latin America, were considered as the back garden of the United States. But those countries now have very patriotic leaderships. They are working for their peoples, so they have the right to make their formations the way they like. They are free to have their own political system. It's not as obligatory dictated by the Americans or other countries. So the Venezuelan people can decide their future, their political system, and the other countries should not interfere in such movements. because the country, the people themselves can decide either by referendums or by elections or by the way they like. So this habit that once something happens in any country, so there will be an external or a foreign interference. Why? As if they are saying that you cannot decide your future, we are coming to decide on behalf of you. This is against the international law, right?
And no doubt that United States accusation sounds absurd, nonsense.
Well, the United States considers itself the the highest and the most powerful power, and they have their own policy. Whether we do not agree with them, but each country can recognize the role of the United States in such events happening here or there.
Mr. Ambassador, to sum up our conversation, I'd like to express my gratitude for this interview and congratulate you and Syrian people on the national holiday.
Thank you very much again, and I'd like to thank you and to congratulate you as you are interviewing this time in English, although it's not your mother tongue, neither mine, and I wish you always the progress in your life.
I hope for our meeting the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.